this is Trinity, and since I'm realizing I want to do videos about mental illness, and I do want to tell the story about my mental health journey. But before I really can go into that, I want to talk about my childhood. So I think what I'm going to do is there's definitely some information that I want to omit because I'm going to make this video public, and there's some places where I just can't go yet. Maybe just out of respect for the living, maybe I can go into some of those gory details later on. So I'm going to start with my parents met at a zero population growth rally. It was like a women's center where my father was a public speaker talking about contraception. Zero population growth. Okay. And my mother's there in the audience. That's how they meet. And they got together, and they wanted to spend this summer together and have a good time, but they didn't want to be living in sin back then. So they eloped and they didn't tell anybody for a while. And yeah, their parents made them get together and do like a reception after the fact, and so they could have their pictures. And my mother was wearing an IUD, and she got pregnant with me. And my father, he did not want to be a father, obviously. He got a vasectomy like a week after I was born. And my mother, she really chose, I think, to have me because she felt, she was married, and then it could work out. And a couple, like 2 or 3 years prior, my mother had a late term abortion, and I think that was very traumatic for her, that she went through that. I don't know what that's like because I've never had an abortion, and that this must have been horrible at a young age to go through that by herself. And so I understand why it wasn't planned to have me, but I can understand why my mother really pushed for that because of her experience. So yeah, I was not planned. So, but I definitely felt loved and wanted and cared for as a young child. My parents divorced when I was a baby. I was a year old. So I don't ever remember them like being together and being, a family unit. I lived with my father from when I was about age 4 to age 9, and my father got sober when I was about 5. But at the same time that I started living with my dad when I was little is when he got into AA and to 12-step, and so I spent a lot of time in 12-step meetings as a young child. I remember that building. I can imagine the whole room and the wood, and like there was this little room off to the side of the main meeting hall where everybody be talking, and the little room off to the side, it was my room because I was usually the only kid at these meetings, and my dad was going to meetings 4 or 5 times a week. And so that little room, it was empty except for maybe like a dozen wooden chairs. And so I would like move all those chairs around and make a fort. I spent a lot of time alone in that little room off to the side of the 12-step meeting. And I remember like if somebody would bring a kid, it was usually just a one-time thing. This is like, welcome to my domain. This is my room. And because usually I knew I was not going to see those kids again. So, it was rare, occasionally, but then there was, I was kind of this like overly clingy and needy, and like I really want friends so desperately because I was so damn lonely. So that I would kind of glom onto people and be kind of overpowering and kind of annoying, I guess. I don't know. I know myself. I understand. So when I was older, when I was around 9 or 10, I got diagnosed with a learning disability, and I actually got into really good testing and a really good school program, and that was a positive that I got that help. And so So when I was younger, like, okay, there was 2 family members that molested me. And that definitely had significant impacts on my life. Now, I'm not going to go into all detail about all that, and I'm going to skip ahead. Because, yeah, there's more to that story, but maybe I'll tell that story another time. I'm just not comfortable making that public right now. So when I was 16, I was in a car accident, and I broke my neck. And that was definitely very traumatic and impacted my life. I have a chronic neck pain for years, especially when I'm having a lot of anxiety or a lot of stress. I've struggled with that, but it hasn't been as bad. It comes and goes. I really see the connection between, how my health and my body, about how I feel about things, and everything is really connected for me in the sense that if I'm not taking care of my emotional life, my physical life, I'm gonna suffer. So, and I see that a lot with my neck, because it's like a pain that's very psychologically induced. Like, I'm aware that it's not so physical. It's like a pain of the past that comes up when I'm stressed. So, yeah, I actually had some really great experiences in high school, even though it's really kind of a loner, and I, kind of an outcast, and yeah, they didn't, girls in school, they were kind of bitches. They didn't really like me. I didn't really like them. But I struggled to have friends, and like, I do have one friend back from when I was really young, and we haven't talked in years, but we're Facebook friends. It's good to see her face and know, like, to have somebody from the past that knew me way back then and knows my whole story. But we're not that close, It would be nice to have more close friendships. I'm understanding the need for that, to have, more friends, more connection, because I really tend to be this loner and isolate myself. Like, I've been really comfortable with COVID, I kind of like this. I don't have to be apologetic about wanting to be a hermit. I don't. It's kind of nice. And so that's kind of my childhood story for now. And I can go into more at another time. See, I think there was definitely trauma in my childhood. Okay, this one I kind of want to wrap this up. So there was trauma, and that was difficult. I've had a lot of psychotherapy for years. I've definitely done a lot of work to heal myself and to try to, work on that. Because I could see how I function in the world kind of as this perpetual victim, and I've kept myself in that box. And, trying to not be a victim, I see how I can be really controlling. It's the same thing. It's like, if you're playing and you're functioning this role as this, where you're feeling like a victim, or you're feeling like you're controlling things. I mean, you can control from the victim role. It's the same thing. Like, I realize that there's so many other ways to function in the world, and I want to really explore how I can label that, because I know I function in other capacities. I know I haven't entered into every interaction in my life as just from the victim stance. I function in other capacities. I don't remember. I didn't have labels for it. And if I could see how I can behave in the world, where I'm aware that I'm functioning and I'm not doing it from feeling, I'm not trying to control as a victim or control people overtly. I want to function in the world in a capacity that feels like I'm not doing any harm to anybody, not to myself, not to other people. And I'm able to communicate clearly and have, healthy relationships. That's the biggest thing. I'm doing this process. I'm using this practice of observation without judgment, because I want to, dive deep and explore how that inner, perspective of who I am in this other capacity. I mean, I've been doing therapeutic work for years on myself, but this is like a whole different journey, because I can structure my own exercises. I can make it mine. It's one thing to okay, I have a lot of these books, these workbooks. Yeah, these exercises, yeah, they could help me. I've done that before. I think really making it my own journey by creating my own exercises and really making it personal to who I am really makes it a way more effective. That's just my personal experience.